Hey everybody, how is it going? Dan Schinder here on Drum Talk TV with first-time offender from Red Rain, awesome hard rock, heavy metal band that blends 80s music with contemporary subtleties and infusions. And just, I love this band. I've listened to the whole album about 4 times. And Sammy Lee joins us all the way from the East Coast. The whole band is from Virginia, and I appreciate you taking time. And I'm going to tell everyone, we tried doing this must have been 3 weeks ago. And folks, a lot of you may know that I live in a very small mountain town in Arizona, and a internet company did something that screwed up everyone else's internet equipment. I have a feeling it might have been on purpose. I won't name any T-Mobile names, but I had to spend the week in a hotel down in the Phoenix area to get work done. And we got with Sammy for that. And the hotel internet took a dump, and it was difficult. So here we are. I'm back in my office. Sammy's at home. Welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And it's nice to see you again, like we talked about. But I can't tell you how excited I'm to be on your show. So
thank you.
thanks for
Honored
having
to
me.
have you too.
Thank you.
Love the music. You know, I'm into a lot of music. A lot of people know that I'm into a lot of the classic rock stuff. I grew up on Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, a lot of heavy prog, yes, Genesis, Jethro Tull, Pink Floyd, it goes on and on, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Sure. But I also spent a lot of time going to UFO concerts, going to Iron Maiden concerts, going to Ozzy concerts, Black Sabbath concerts. A huge fan of Judas Priest, but never saw them live, and Whitesnake, and you know, a lot of those 80s bands. And I think that description of you guys taking the whole 80s encapsulation of the musical movement that kind of came, like, it came for me anyways, after the big 70s stuff where anything goes,
Sure.
to then the skinny tie or the hair spray spandex bands, and then bands like you guys and the folks that you're, you know, bringing recipes from in the 80s kind of help stave that a little. Not that there was anything wrong with that, but at the time there was just this giant wave of it, the new wave. That's why they called it new wave. And it's refreshing for you guys to bring this type of music back. And folks, I have a couple clips that I'll play, but first, Sammy, talk about the band and how you guys got together, and we'll explore your whole musical journey. So show some clips and talk about you personally as well.
Thank you. And thanks for the compliment. I do want to correct you on one little thing that we are not a heavy metal band. So that's kind of a little bit of a misconception. I like to call ourselves a power hard rock band. So it's
there you go. There is a difference.
Yeah. There is a difference, because I think people and sort of when they see our picture, you know, we're kind of, not that I have the hair anymore or any of that, but you know, we are dressed in all black and all, you know, some leather. So we are a power rock band. So I just wanted to say that because I don't want anybody misleading, you know, oh, they're not a heavy metal band. But I got started playing years ago, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But I played in a band before Red Rain with our singer Carlton Bubba McMichael. Bubba's his nickname. Bubba and I have known each other since the mid 80s. Been in and out of the same bands, competing bands, and so on. And when the last band we played in broke up, we had written sort of some originals that were not out yet. And I won't go too much into the, you know, minutia of that, but it just didn't leave our heads. And so we decided to get together and start writing. And at that point, it was just Bob and I, and we were looking for a bass player. And we brought in Larry Moore, who is our bass player. And as soon as the song started to roll, and we hooked up with our PR firm because they liked where we were going, we brought on Stevie Shred, and we recorded our first EP with David Ivory. And that's how the band got together and got rolling.
Nice. And you did the EP, and then and then you you did the newish follow-up album last year, Don't Look Back. The full album covers right there on the graphic, folks. Talk about that album. What people can expect. Like I said, I've listened to it 4 times preparing for the interview, just soaking it up, and then we'll talk about how the tour dates went.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So the album, so we, I'll take you back a little bit as well. We were really touring on the EP. back in 2017, 18, and 19. We were on and off tour with Tesla, which was a great band, obviously, to play with.
Yeah.
And I won't give you all the name dropping because but we have played with like Dokken and Y&T and bands like that. We've played with a lot of them. And so
those are good matchups for you guys too.
Oh, great matchups and
Yeah.
great people. I mean, every band we've played with has just been so welcoming to us. But when COVID hit, which we all know was tragic to everybody, you always try to find the one little bright spot in something that's very dark. And the one bright spot for us, if you will, was that it was time that Bubba could sit down and really write the lyrics, sort of the beginning parts to Don't Look Back. And then when we were finally able to get together, then Larry and Larry and Stevie were able to add their flair to the songs as well. I don't do a lot of writing. I mean, I do the drum parts, but I don't really have a lot of input because I don't think I have that kind of vision. So everybody in the band has a role, which is good. And my role is the business aspect of the band as well as drum.
Nice.
Yeah. So really the album is based on a lot of the period of COVID, and that's how the album got written.
That's awesome. And our producer, Steven, is saying Darkness of Pain from this album, I at first thought was going to be a ballad. And I do like the ballads, but it was quite a surprise when things escalated and it all fits. And Steve, I don't know where that ranks in how much you like which songs. Maybe we're more alike than I even know, but that's my favorite song on the album.
Really? You
I
like
love
Darkness?
that
Yeah.
song. Yeah. Yeah. And do
That's
you
great.
have favorites? I mean, I know it's like children, and I tell them, hey, Steve, don't tell Alex and the others, but you're my favorite. And then I tell Alex, hey, Alex, don't tell Steve and the others. Hey, Victoria. You know, but I know with songs, it's hard to pick but is there something you look forward to more to play, or something you're most proud of, maybe because it was most challenging, or something about it just resonates with you lyrically, musically, production wise?
Sure. So you can see, well, you've seen the video and the video you've been posting. I play double bass and I play two bass drums. So anytime I can incorporate that in a song, then it's a winner. But
That's cool.
But to give you a couple songs that I really enjoy, like I know is just fun and ready to go. So I love the title track, Don't Look Back.
Yeah.
I love I really love all the songs. Let me just say that. But the ones that I just really dig in and just really get into is Don't Look Back. I like Here I Am, Bury Me is good. And then off the EP, we generally, we generally end the set with Not That Way, which is probably one of our bigger songs that we've been playing and people seem to like. And then off the EP, Red Rain. Because I like the 0 to 60, once guitar comes in and then you come in and you're smashing, and those kind of songs I like. But I love all of them. I mean, they're all fun to play for me.
That's great. Are you guys, it's mid-year, it's summer. There's a lot of stuff going on in the music world when it comes to live, and you guys are absolutely a live band. Do you guys have plans for more dates anywhere?
At this moment, as we speak, we do not, but I am sitting down with our booking agent and our team, I believe tomorrow or Friday, and to come up with a plan. But hopefully we have one. So, it gets tough to play live, when you're sort of in a role that we're in, which is a supporting act, and you got to find time to, we all work for a living. So you got to find time to, get off work and be able to support when you go out on the road. So, but we're finding that time and we will again. So we just got off the road as a matter of fact.
Yes. And I want to play some of you. I think it's from a sound check, it looks like, and you'll get a flavor of Sammy's double bass. Then we'll talk about your technique, influences, things like that. So check this out, folks.
Fantastic.
I love the bridge coming up. I'm watching
Yeah.
on another monitor over here.
Oh, okay.
Killer bass line.
And that's actually Red Rain. That's the song Red Rain I was talking about. Yeah. And I got lost right there a little bit. Sound checking.
Cannot tell though. It's great.
I can.
Stuff. It's great though.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to tell everybody there was I didn't have audio in the very beginning of that clip because we're using a new system, and I forget that one of or both of us have to be on the screen as well for the audio to come through for the shared screen, which makes no technical sense to me at all. I thought if we were both off, the mics were still open, somehow that left the internal audio line on, but I'll get the hang of it. But cool. Before we talk about your gear, beautiful kit, beautiful colored Pisces there. Before we talk about your gear, let's talk about your influences. You mentioned, you're a double bass guy, not just a double pedal, but the actual double bass drums. Not one is if I could use the word prop, I hope I'm not offending anybody, where there's a bass drum in front of a auxiliary pedal that's connected to a double pedal.
Absolutely.
Two bass drums. Who's your influence on that? Because a lot of guys still do that. Dave Lombardo, Tommy Aldridge, there's still quite a few. Tommy Clufetis. There's a lot of drummers that still do that. Who's some of your influences for double bass? And I'll switch it so we got the names right.
everybody who knows me gets tired of me talking about, but there's one guy that really got me into drumming, and it's Alex Van Halen.
Oh, nice.
I'm a huge old school Van Halen fan.
That's cool. And I remember, I'm so old. I remember when their first album came out, and there was this guy that worked for our band, one of our techs, and he brought the vinyl to a rehearsal. He said, "You guys gotta hear this." We're like, "What the fuck is it?" But the first two albums were like, "Wow, these guys are absolutely going to be big." And we were from Los Angeles, and they were in Pasadena, and man, look at the legacy they built. So that's a great,
unbelievable,
one of the most unique snare drums on the planet. Between
unbelievable.
Him,
unbelievable
Bill
sound.
Bruford, John Bonham, and Stuart Copeland probably have the most unique identifiable snare drums. Absolutely. He's right there in the big four. Yeah.
And it's funny too, because out of the first I'll say, the first 6 albums, because I know they did a different kind of truth, but like for me, the greatest drum sound he put on tape, as we say, or but the Diver Down, which I know a lot of like Van Halen fans like, that one's because it's all covers. That drum sound on that album, to me, is probably that snare. I don't know why the snare pops more to me on that album than it does on the other albums.
Interesting. I wonder if it was where they recorded it, or I wonder what the reason is for that.
I don't know. And you hear a little bit. You hear a little bit on Fair Warning, sort of it. But boy, I tell you, if you listen to Where Have All the Good Times Gone and that pop on that snare, I mean, that is just, it is as clean as it can get.
Yeah.
So that's really my main influence. But I mean, I love Keith Moon. I can go down the list that we all love. John Bonham, Tommy Aldridge, as you said, and you have to forgive me because I only listened to Van Halen most of my life, and I listened to other Nico from Iron Maiden and Bill Ward. I mean, they're all of them are such great, and I know there's 50 billion other great drummers. Ringo is actually a big, watching as I've gotten older, watching more Ringo videos. Ringo Starr is unbelievable, and not a flashy drummer, but boy, does he stay in a pocket like nobody else. So as I've gotten older, I've really started to broaden my horizons a little bit more. When I was younger, it was really, my horizons were like this. It was just Alex, and a little bit of Keith Moon, a little bit of Bonham and Neil Peart and all that. But so I'm really trying to expand my horizons as I get a little bit older now.
That's great. I went through the same thing. I had a narrow lane that got wider and wider, but it was all as it got wider, it was still in the same vein for the most part. You heard a bunch of
Yeah.
the bands I named off. But as I got older, I got more into fusion, Return to Forever, Mahavishnu Orchestra. I got into stuff like Steely Dan, which I heard growing up, but it just didn't resonate for some reason. Oops, I kicked a doggy. Sorry, baby.
Nice.
But then I got really into Steely Dan. And then I started digging into music that I didn't like when it came out. And a lot of that had to do with new wave stuff. Like now,
Yeah.
one of the first travel CDs I'll put in the truck is the best of B-52s.
Oh, okay.
I love the album Sowing the Seeds of Love by Tears for Fears. And when those bands came out, I was just too much over there and didn't have nearly the open mind that I have now. I like just about everything. And when I ask people, oh, what kind of music you like? And they say, I like everything. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, right. You don't even know what everything is, but
right.
So I get but when we listen to music that is outside of our box, it can be really eye-opening, especially if it's older and older music, because then you really learn what resonated with your heroes and what tools they brought with them from that into what you know them as, and then to take those and incorporate them into your stuff like you did with Alex. So I've been really enjoyed, and my son Steve has turned me on to all kinds of really interesting music that I never would have even known about.
Right.
So it's good to do that.
I'm sort of the same way. When I was growing up, or when I was younger, and people would say, "Oh man, listen to this," and I'm going, that's because the drummer's not flashy, and it's like, I want this, and Alex with the 4 bass drums and the rototoms but you're right. As I've gone back, I mean, like I did like some other stuff when I was younger. Like I liked Billy Joel. I was a Billy Joel fan, but I never really listened to now that I watch him, I listen to more of Liberty DeVito more, when he was playing drums, and
see what he's doing there.
Yeah. And so you're right. I am finding more and more as I'm getting old, getting older, but also I'll tell you, we all grew up in that age, and, and you're listening to the hard rock songs and everybody's still kind of playing the same old songs. I've kind of switched over now to more Motown. I'm listening to more Motown.
That's great.
I'm trying to get that, get a little more feel there. Stuff that I liked when I was younger, but never, like you said, never really paid attention to. And now you're starting to pay attention. I'm starting to pay attention to the sounds and the drums and all that. So I understand what you're talking about.
That's awesome. Motown. Wow, there's so much there. That's Phil Collins' biggest influence. When he joined Genesis, he wasn't into prog. He was into the Motown and all that kind of stuff. So it's sometimes fun to discover who was into something when you know them for Purple and you find out that they were into Green. It's like, oh wow, really?
Yeah, you're like, oh, you're this, I can't remember who it was, but I was like, played hard rock all my life, but like their influence was like a drummer you've never heard of who was in a blues band that or something. And it's very interesting to find out who everybody influences are.
Look at Nico. His influence was he saw the Beatles when he was like 10. His sister took him. And then he played with Pat Travers and then joined Iron Maiden. And I saw Tommy Aldridge for the first time with Pat Travers opening for Rush in '78 on the Hemispheres tour.
Nice.
So like when I look at what Nico does now and then forgetting what Pat Travers sounded like with him, I'm like, oh yeah, now I get it,
Right. Yeah. No, I've seen Tommy Aldridge. I have never seen Maiden, which I kicked myself. I'm hoping they'll come back around.
Yeah, they're still out. So still
I know. I'm going to try, but I did see Whitesnake with Tommy Aldridge, and so when you're watching that guy, you're just like, I don't even know why I play drums anymore. I mean, really, when you're watching him play, it's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal.
Saw British Whitesnake before the American Whitesnake, which had John Lord and Ian Pace.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Another great drummer. See, I can't remember everybody, but another drummer who is influential.
Amazing.
Yeah. So.
Fun stuff. How did you start? Why drums? And how old were you?
Alex Van Halen.
It was Alex. Yeah.
It was Alex. And I started a little bit later. I started when I was, I turned 14. And I had seen the Unchained video with all those drums, you know, when MTV sort of first came out. And so I did. I actually took lessons with a great jazz teacher here in Richmond. And it's funny because two good friends of mine were in high school, were unbelievable drummers. I mean, in 10th grade, one of them's playing Wah Wah Z like it was nothing to him, you know, and the other drummer wasn't as hard rock, but he was playing Walking on the Moon by the Police. I mean, that's not an easy song.
Right.
And you know, I've talked to them and really good friends to this day, but we grew up together, but they gave me this, so I started learning jazz, but I'm dyslexic. So reading music, it was all jumbled to me. And I think I got frustrated and he got a little frustrated and so he moved away and I didn't really take any lessons again. And I'm more self-taught than I am really more instructor. So, you know, I beat myself up a little bit because I'm not as rudimentally as good as I think I am, or as good as I should be. And I kind of wanted to go back and take lessons, and I still may. I don't know, but I could be better than what I am.
Yeah, it's never too late to do that. Neil Peart did.
Yeah. So that's but that's how I got my start. And so I know very little jazz. I can play enough to, you know, kind of keep the jazz beat but I'm just, you know, people always ask me if I'm a percussionist. I'm a rock drummer. It's whatever's in my way, I'm going to hit with the stick. That's the way I say it.
That's great. Speaking of which, I'm going to put I'll put a freeze frame up of your kit from that video. And why don't you give us a breakdown of your gear?
Okay.
There we go.
So you can see the 222s there on the floor. Those are 222 bass drums. This is a PDP Maple Concept kit that I bought. I don't, you know, I used to use when I was younger bigger toms. I don't know why I'm not, but I use a 10 and a 12 mounted, and I use a 14 floor tom.
Oh wow!
And I get a really good deep sound out of that 14. And I do actually have a 16. I just don't travel with it. The 14 is, when you mic that up, man, it's just got a good thump to it. So I've just kept that, you know, sort of in with the kit.
I have a 4-piece jazz kit version of that same kit, and it has a 14, and I have detuned that sometimes so low, and it does sound great. Yeah,
it's got a thump to it that's just that I don't even want to try to replace right at the moment. So
that's cool.
So that's so that's the kit as far as my drums. The snare is a it's a Tama black nickel plated snare.
Oh, cool.
And I really dig the sound of that. And you know, when you get a good rim shot on that, it's almost like a freight train coming through the door. It's got a good punch to it. So that is my snare. And then I used to use Paiste Rudes because I hit kind of hard, and I still have them. But then, you know, when the new album came out, I decided to get more flashy. So as you can see, I color coded my cymbals. And so, I did black, red, because obviously Red Rain, and you can see the album covers black and red. So I color coded it. So I have the two reds, are 218 Crash Rides. The middle one that is black is a 16 Crash.
Okay.
And I have a 22 inch rod that is, I just bought that. I used to have about an 20, but on this album when we were recording, I used a lot of bell on the cymbal, more rodding it. I kind of used more bell, and so I needed something that had a little more bell to it.
Yeah.
And this one does. And then my hi-hats are the same. They're black. They're 14-inch hi-hats.
That's cool. They sound great. It's a great
body. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. What cymbals are you? What's that?
Cymbals, I'm sorry. The cymbals are a little more they're good cymbals. They're a little more splashier than what I like. I like a little more deeper, but I like them. I really do. But you know, the Rude has just got such a bang to it. These are a little higher, a little splashier, but I'm getting used to them. I really like them a lot.
That's great. And what heads are you using on the kit?
So I'm right now using Aquarian heads
Oh,
for
cool.
my
That's I just recently switched. Well, recently, a year
yeah,
and 3 months ago, 2 months ago. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I've got I forgot the names, but on all my toms on my big prog kit, they're all clear.
Yes.
And on the jazz kit, they're called vintage. They're the vintage Moderno, and they're awesome. They sound so good.
No, I'm using the clear heads, but on my snare, I'm using a Remo,
Mm,
a Remo head on that one. I
cool.
was using it was a oh god, I can't think of it. It was a black. It was called a black cherry. Oh, who made that? Doggone it. Anyway, I really like that. That had a really great sound to it. But the problem is when I was tuning it at the top, no matter because I like a really tight snare, like you could
Uh-huh.
bounce a quarter to go to the ceiling. But
Wow.
I couldn't get the top for some reason when I tuned, go around to tune and the top would always crinkle. I could never get, and I was just like, I just didn't want that.
Oh,
I don't know why it distracted me. It had nothing to do with playing the snare. So
that's
on
fun.
this tour, I switched over to this the clear coat the clear coat Remo head.
Cool. Cool. I want to show another video. Let me
Okay.
remove this. And one sec, folks. Let me get to press the right buttons. This time you and I will stay on screen so that I'll make sure when I'm sharing it, we got to be on screen so they can hear it. This is
Okay.
live from the little music festival out east.
Okay.
And as soon as I can navigate to the right screen, we'll be set. Here we go. And good grief. Give me one sec, folks. Oh, I thought I had it all already. There it is. Okay. Got the whole band going there.
Yeah. That's Don't Look Back. That's the title track.
Yeah. When you mention the bands that you were paired up with as a support
Mhm.
act, they totally make sense with the music you're playing with. What was the response like that you got from the different audiences?
We've been very lucky. Every place we've played, people seem to dig the music, and you hear the same feedback I'm getting is, people don't play music like this anymore. And that's why I came up with a slogan. We were trying to come up. We have different variations of our logo, and one of them is American rock and roll, and it really means nothing. It's not like, hey, we're Americans and all. It's just remember back in the 70s, Van Halen was considered the American Led Zeppelin, American rock and roll, Aerosmith, that type of thing.
Right.
And so that's really, people keep saying it's nice to hear, rock the way it should be or rock the way it was. And so we've been really well received. And it's a great feeling, because here's the other thing too. We don't play one cover song. We don't play one cover song. We never have since day one. This is all pure Red Rain original music. And that
That's
is,
cool.
being in the business, that's a hard sell in itself.
Yeah.
So, and everybody has been very nice to us. All the bands that we've toured with, all the production people behind the scenes, and all the people who have come to see us and enjoy it. And so we've been very lucky so far.
That's great.
And I don't know if you know this or not, and we haven't talked about it, but I don't know if people know this or not, but the actual title track of Don't Look Back, we had a special guest on that album.
I don't know that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So on the actual track on the album, we had George Lynch play with us on that song.
Oh, I did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So it's a funny story. So I am good friends with Neely and Chris Aiken of the Classic Metal Show.
Okay.
I've known Neely for so many years, and Neely is good friends with the Doc and Camp. And when COVID hit and things were kind of looking bleak at some point in time, because, you know, nobody knew what was up the air. I had this idea, like, you know, because we hadn't recorded any new music for a couple years. And I'm like, if we're going to record, we got to have a splash. Well, my first idea was, do I get a guest singer? And could I get David Lee Roth? Of course, you know, being Van Halen. That was my first thought, like, would that be? And then I was actually talking to Neely, and we were talking about it. And then I just said, you know, what would be pretty cool if we could have like George Lynch? And he helped facilitate that. Nice. Because he knows those guys. And so I won't bore you with all details, but I didn't tell anybody in the band. I didn't tell our publicist. I didn't tell our bookie. I didn't tell anybody that I was doing this until I got the okay that he agreed to do the track.
That's great.
And that's how that came about. And he was very generous and did the track for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. What do you guys have planned next? I know it hasn't been that long since Don't Look Back came out, but are you guys looking forward and planning something soon?
Yeah, like I said, we're you know, I've got a meeting either tomorrow or Friday to talk to hopefully our team to see what shows we can get out there and play on again, and right. You know, I think to keep pushing the album is good, and also I do want to mention you know, we did sign with Deco Entertainment, and they have been absolutely wonderful with us as well. They've been very open to ideas, and they've been you know, very, very helpful in pushing the album, and we hit some charts. And so, yeah, I want to mention them because without them, you know, it would just be us pushing up the hill, but they've been very, very gracious in helping as well.
That's great. Looking forward to seeing what you guys turn out next recording wise as well. And if you guys do get out West, I'd love to see you guys. If you come to any of the 3, Southern California, Nevada, Arizona, I'd love to get to see you guys. But I want to ask you one more question. This might be the most important question because this is now the Sammy Lee Fun Fact segment. So, okay. Sammy, tell us, when you're not playing music or doing anything at all related to music, how do you like to spend your time? Do you have any hobbies? Do you collect anything other than drums and cymbals?
Right.
What do you like to do?
Well, actually, I enjoy spending time with my, you know, my wife and my daughter. You know, I have a daughter who's 15, and so we'd like to do some things. And I play golf with a group of guys, and I have 2 older brothers that I play golf with as well. And you know, I just bought I bought an old vintage CJ7 that we will cruise around in, you know, nice. In summertime. So yeah, I just like to, you know, kind of relax and just enjoy life, you know. But it all turns around, you know, back with the drums because, you know, in the building we're in, this is where the band rehearses. So I literally at, you know, 5:30, 6 o'clock will leave my desk, walk over to the next suite, and I'll just start banging it out and play. So, you know,
that's
until awesome. I can't anymore.
Yeah. How often do you play golf?
Oh God, I'm not that good. You know, just depends. Sometimes I'll go, you know, maybe once or twice a week. To sometimes I won't play. I'll play once every 2 to 3 months. So, yeah. But you know, it's a group of guys that I get together with a lot. You know, a lot of the guys that I hang around with are the guys that I grew up with since 4th grade. So we have this big. Great. Oh yeah, it's really great to have this big group. And so, you know, if we're not doing that, you know, we get together. You know, I'm a big Viking fan, so during football season, you know, a group of us go watch football, and I watch my team. So yeah, it's just you know, normal life and enjoying day to day, and lucky enough on the side to be doing this, and meeting wonderful people and guys that I looked up to, and meeting people like you who are wonderful to help support the band. So yeah, it's been a great ride so far.
That's awesome. Thanks, and we're happy to. And anytime you have something to talk about or promote, please let us know. Reach out to Steve. He'll get you scheduled. And
I would. Thank you.
Tell everybody where they can reach you. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a link to buy the new album in the post wherever you're watching this, folks. So check that out. But where else can people follow you, Sammy?
So we're at Red Rain Band, and again, as you can see, it's REIGN. It's Red Rain Band, which is our website. And we're Red Rain Band on Facebook, Twitter, or X, Instagram. We're on every downloadable music site. So we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and of course, billions of all those as well. And then if you want to buy some merchandise, or the album, it's through Deco Entertainment. So you can go to Deco Entertainment site and you can see all the cool bands that they're signing as well. And we're on there and we have some merch. And please, listen, I just tell people, take a listen. If you want to kind of get outside of the Motley Crues and the Wingers and everything else we all listen to every day, check out a new band. And if it's not us, check out another new band, because there's some really great music out there that people are doing. There's a lot of great hard rock, metal, power rock, all those bands. There's some great bands. We've been fortunate enough to meet some bands that are in our situation that are just great to listen to.
That's great. It's wonderful that it's still a genre that is very alive and kicking, which is great. Yeah.
And it really is. The difference is it's not on radio. So you're going to have to go find it, but it's there and there's a lot of it. So, yeah.
Cool. They can start with Red Rain. Thanks for joining us, folks. Sammy, Lee, and myself from Red Rain out in Virginia. I'm in Globe, Arizona, 100 miles from Phoenix, up in the mountains, where we actually have decent internet today. Thank you. Thank you. And check out our membership site, drumtalktvbrilliance.com, where we're scheduling a whole new season this coming fall of live stream unique concerts, fan Q&A sessions. We have 4 music themed game shows. We're breaking those out next month again, and lots of other fun stuff. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Vimeo, YouTube, and Smoke Signals, and Carrier Pigeon. So thanks so much for joining us. For 11 and a half years now. I can't even believe it. Insert sound of pooping a brick.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sammy. Thanks, everybody.